Hello and welcome to another episode of Morgan's Pop Talks, breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture. So much to get to today. I mean, the drama that is brewing in Salt Lake City, we are going to get into it in the deep dive today. Newbie Monica has so many question marks around her, and I got the shovel out. I did some digging. There's a last name debacle. There's the lawsuit debacle. Just so much. We have to talk about the Golden Bachelor because it has changed who I am as a human being. We have to talk about this unexpected feud between Captain Lee and Kyle Cooke. We're going to talk about it all. And I also have to say, I'm still getting over this cold. Can you believe that I've been sick for 4 weeks now? 4 weeks now. Somebody came up to me the other day and they were like, "You're still coughing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still coughing." It's part of my personality now. I can't change who I am. You know, I go over to my family's house and they're like, "Have you ever tried a cough drop?" Like, I haven't given away literally my bi-weekly paycheck on Vicks VapoCool cough drops that I have on deck. I should be sponsored. And my family, they really aggravate me with that too. Like, "Oh, you didn't get any cough drops." Do you think I want to sit here and hack up my lungs, you guys? But I am on the mend, so hopefully I can get through today without having some sort of attack. But let's just go ahead and dive right in. We'll start with the pop three, the three biggest headlines of the week. And we got to start out, obviously. Taylor and Travis Mania has it's hit new heights. And I know that's the name of the Brothers podcast, and I did not mean to make that pun, but it has. It has hit new heights in Argentina. Love is flying through the air. Can you feel the love tonight? The Lion King style. Travis Kelce flew 14 hours to be with Taylor Swift in Argentina last weekend. The crowd went wild. She ran to him. She almost, like, she doesn't even run. She like leaps like a gazelle, just striding like a gazelle over to her tight end boyfriend, runs almost as like a bachelor hug jump, and just lays one on him in front of everybody. And people are like literally losing their ever-loving marbles over the fact that we just saw Taylor Swift kiss Travis Kelce in public. Not only that, she changed the lyrics to Karma. It wasn't, "Karma is the guy on the screen coming straight home to me." Oh, off key. I'm telling you, it's the sandpaper throat that's going on right now. It's going to really bug me if I don't sing it right, but she's like, "Karma is a guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me." And everyone's like, you know, just like that. For your sake, I hope that you're not watching this on YouTube, because the facial expression that just came out of me was not cute at all. And I mean, while this weekend with Taylor and Travis was magical for Swifties, people are jumping to conclusions. I've seen everywhere the conspiracy theories. They're getting married by April. They're getting married by March. They're going to be engaged by the end of the year. It's been 2 months, you guys. Can we? I know. It's crazy. It's Taylor mania. But we just got to take a deep breath. I mean, I do think this relationship is different because Travis Kelce is the first guy that likes attention as much as Taylor Swift. So Travis Kelce is not afraid to play the game. He's in it. Oh, he is in it. He loves every headline. He loves every viral TikTok video. You know, Travis is the only guy that goes along with Taylor's antics. And I don't say antics in a negative way. I mean, Taylor Swift knows how to get people invested in her music, in her Easter eggs, in her music. She knows how to get people to buy her merch, to buy the vinyls, to buy the this, to buy the, I mean, she's a genius. She is a genius. And if anything, she's teaching Travis a thing or two on how to make more money. Did you see that Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce sang, I guess the Philadelphia Eagles do like this Christmas album every year, and Travis Kelce jumped on the Christmas album with Jason Kelce, and they're singing. So like, call it the Taylor Swift influence that Travis Kelce is now singing, but also I love the Kelsey brother. I think they're stars. So I don't care. I don't care that maybe they're using the clout of Taylor Swift to up their celebrity status. And I get it. All the guys that are listening to this are like, they're already a celebrity. Like, yes. Yes. But are they even more of celebrities now? Yes. I mean, look at the NFL ratings. What was it, like 2 million people or something tuned in because Taylor Swift was chest bumping Brittany Mahomes? It is what it is. There's also these other headlines going around right now of Taylor Swift's close friends not being down with the pace at which they're moving. Like, I've seen the names thrown out there. Selena Gomez doesn't approve and Gigi Hadid doesn't approve. Well, Gigi commented on one of the Instagram posts. It was just one of those clickbait headlines. And she said, "We are all over the moon for our girl, period," with like a fire heart emoji. Which, sure, they're probably happy for her. But also, like, if they weren't, you think she was going to comment? Yeah, TMZ. You're right. We're really worried. Like, no. What did you expect? Okay, so next week we'll have another moment to freak out about, but we're going to leave it there. Headline number 2 in this week's Pop 3, Bravo started their own podcast called Bravo Hot Mic, and the first interview they did is with Kyle Richards. Let me just say, I had 3 feelings about this when I saw that Bravo came out with their own podcast. 1, I'm obsessed with the name. Bravo Hot Mic could not be more fitting for this podcast. 2, I will be listening to every episode. 3, I'm insanely jealous because I feel like now, obviously, all of the Bravo loves are going to go here first because they're going to write it in their contract that they're going to go here first. Bravo is taking a page out of the Bachelor handbook where Bachelor has, the core podcast. I don't even know what podcast they have anymore, but they have their Bachelor specific branded podcasts that all of the people that are on the show in real time, you go there first. They have first dibs because they're contractually obligated. So, I mean, Bravo is smart to do this, but like, come on, hire your girl. Anyways, Kyle Richards was the first guest, and she's calling everybody a bunch of idiots for thinking that this Mauricio storyline is fake. So she says, and Alex, I think it's Alex Baskin. Don't come for me if it's wrong, but it's one of the Bravo producers, and his name is Alex. She says, he's the one that's doing the interviewing here. She says, "What human being would create a story like this? No offense, Alex. I love you and everybody with this show, but who would do that for ratings? Put their family through this." She says, "This is one of the dumbest things I've maybe ever heard in these 13 years. I'm going to pretend that I'm separated and torture my children so that people tune in. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard." She said, "I care about being relevant to my friends and family. Yes, I'm on television, but I'm good." She also said, "It couldn't be any different than who I am," saying that the claims are annoying and frustrating. Okay, so take it all in. She's unloading one. Kyle is mad, and we are seeing it. Okay, so I will say this. After seeing Kyle at BravoCon, kind of changed my perspective of the situation a little bit. She did get very emotional talking about Mauricio, which I think that they're separated. I had my doubts at first, like, whatever, convenient. I do think that other aspects of this are convenient. The separation might be true, but the other stuff, I just don't think Kyle can call people idiots, because it's hard to completely write off the notion that the show has nothing to do with it. I mean, how many episodes are we into The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? And it's like immediate. Dorit and Kyle in the car, months before any of us ever heard anything. Dorit and Kyle in the car. Everything okay with you and Mo? How did she know to ask that question? How did Dorit know to ask that question? Sure, they're good friends, but it's just all too perfect. Isn't it? And it's like the whole season is going to be about Kyle and Mauricio. It benefited Mauricio on Dancing with the Stars. Obviously, every little press snippet you saw was of Mauricio talking about Kyle, talking about the Beverly Hills trailer, getting busted with Emma, like it all benefited him because he was in the press. It got him, it kept on the show longer, kept him relevant, kept him top of mind. It might even be like subconscious, from being in the industry for so long. And here I've made this point before, and I stood in line at BravoCon at the Beverly Hills panel to ask Kyle Richards this question, but it didn't get to me in time. Because, like I said, while I believe the separation is real and that it happened, I'm also just thinking the scene that we haven't seen yet of the family sit down with all the girls, with Mauricio and Kyle, and they're crying and they're having like a family, like an emergency family meeting, right? Before that scene is filmed, there's a conversation that goes on behind the scenes with the daughters. I would assume, and I mean, like, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that Kyle would approach her daughters and say, hey, are you comfortable with us having this conversation about Dad and I separating on camera? And if they said no, I believe that Kyle wouldn't do it because she cares a lot about her kids. So it's like, that's just a weird place, right? They're not faking the separation, but they are letting it be the driving storyline of the season. And when historically you have years of Kyle and Mauricio being couple goals, and anytime there was anything, Kyle immediately shutting it down, like this is a plot twist for a lot of people. So I just don't think that they can wrap their mind around the fact that it could potentially be 100% real. And, I'm not mad about them having this conversation with the kids on camera. They're part of a reality show. They have to do it. They have to sign up for this. They have to talk about their lives. If it didn't happen, we would be complaining that they're hiding things, So I just think the whole thing is a little dicey. Okay, let's move on to headline number 3. Captain Lee is spilling the tea. First of all, he's got this beef with Kyle Cooke. And second of all, he said this podcast episode, this tell-all with Carl Radke was supposed to come out and it got axed. And he doesn't know why, okay? So Carl apparently did this sit-down interview with Captain Lee. It was basically how Lindsay went on the Viall Files, Carl went on Captain Lee's podcast. That was going to be the gist of it, right? But it never came out. And people were like, what's going on? So Captain Lee said on his podcast this past episode, I'm sorry to inform you that it will not be aired, and that was not my call. He says, if you would like to find out why, I guess you could ask Carl Radke. Okay. He says, we did do it. We did record it, but it will not be played. So I apologize to all of you who thought you were going to hear it. That was my intention, but things just didn't work out. Captain Lee said, that's why we didn't have a show last week. We were ready to air and the plug got pulled, but not by us. Make of that what you will. Okay, so I don't know when he says not by us. I don't know if that means Captain Lee and his podcast team. I don't know if he means Captain Lee and Carl. I don't know. So this initial clip of the podcast episode went out of Carl saying, I feel really bad with how everything ultimately played out. If I could go back and make something a little bit easier or better, I would. And then he said, I do firmly think Lindsay and I going in separate directions will be healthier for us in the long run. So this never came out. I don't know if this was a Bravo thing. I'm assuming it's a Carl thing. First of all, because Captain Lee said, ask Carl Radke. And second of all, Bravo had no problem pulling the plug on Lindsay going on the Viall Files where she spilled everything. She detailed the entire summer pretty much. So why would Lindsay be allowed to do that on the Viall Files, but Carl wouldn't be allowed to do that on Captain Lee's podcast? Why Carl might have decided not to do it, I think Carl fears public backlash. I think, and I don't think he wants to add fuel to the fire right now. I mean, every little snippet I've seen of him says, when we watch the season, we'll understand more. And when I watch the season, you'll be a little bit more understanding and whatever. So maybe he got cold feet about releasing this episode. Meanwhile, Captain Lee and Kyle Cooke have beef. So let me start, because before BravoCon, this thing came out where Captain Lee says, you know who I have a problem with? Kyle Cooke. And we all were like, Captain Lee? What? And this was on his podcast. He said, I think he contributed to the breakup of Carl and Lindsay to a certain degree. This is what Captain Lee said. Kyle comes out and says he could see the cracks in the relationship. Wake up. You were a part of the cracks. You are supposed to be Carl's best friend, and all you do every waking moment that you're talking to Carl is bad-mouthing Lindsay. Is that what friends do? I feel bad for both of them. I think people that don't know should realize that they don't know, and they shouldn't speculate because their words have impact. I don't know how Kyle and Carl stayed friends. Period. Don't mess with Captain Lee. Okay. So then that was before BravoCon. PBC, pre-BravoCon. Here's after BravoCon. Captain Lee said that Kyle Cooke actively avoided him. Another episode of podcast. We got to get Captain Lee on the podcast because he spills the tea. He asked his co-host Sam asked Lee, was not crossing paths with Kyle Cooke a highlight for you? And Lee responded and said, I don't know if it was a highlight. The fact that I didn't have to talk to him was probably a highlight. Okay. I need to squash that beef with Captain Lee and Kyle Cooke, because what the heck? I need Captain Lee in his captain suit on this season of Summer House coming in, being the father-like figure and scolding Kyle Cooke for bad-mouthing Lindsay to Carl. Anyways, let's move on to the deep dive. What do you want to know more about? What is it? The question that you can't get answered. You need to know. You're trying to read up on it, but you can't figure it out. Today, we're going to talk about Monica Garcia from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and this lawsuit between her and Heather Gay's Beauty Lab and Laser. Monica Garcia has come on the scene, guns blazing, red hot, sparked new life into the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City franchise, right? This whole season, who is this Monica person? Her situation with her mother, it's all so wild. So it came out last week that Heather Gay's company, Beauty Lab and Laser, filed a lawsuit against Monica in August after Monica failed to pay for services she received at Beauty Lab. In the filing, I'm just going to go over the lawsuit real quick in detail. In the filing, Beauty Lab and Laser stated that Monica signed a contract on December 10th, 2019. Okay, so quite some time ago, to pay $2,449 for cosmetic injection services. Monica allegedly paid $449 total, which included $400 for the down payment and then a $49 setup fee. However, she was allegedly negligent in making her monthly payments of $200 per month until the remaining $2,000 was paid. Monica countersued the company in September, but the filing was amended in November. The same month, Monica sued Beauty Lab and Laser for breach of independent duty of care, breach of contract, and breach of duty of good faith and fair dealing. According to the filing, Monica claimed that she did not make the monthly payments because she allegedly received defective, negligently given injections, which did not have intended promised result. After receiving what she calls botched cosmetic enhancements, Monica went to a competent party to fix the damage. Monica also believes that Beauty Lab and Laser filed the lawsuit right before her Real Housewives of Salt Lake City debut to tarnish her image. There is another part of the story that I haven't seen confirmed, but that Heather didn't put two and two together, because I know you're wondering, why was this happening in 2019 and we're just now getting lawsuits about it in 2023? I've seen things that Heather didn't put two and two together, that it was this Monica because she used a different name when getting the injections, and I'll get into that in a second. But Monica wrote in the court document, Beauty Lab's complaint has been made because of the personal animosity towards Monica of Heather Gay, an officer and director of Heather Entertainment, Inc., a member of Beauty Lab and Laser, LLC. not because of the claims in the complaint, which Beauty Lab and Heather Gay know to be unfounded. Heather responded very quickly publicly. She posted this on her Instagram. She said, Beauty Lab and Laser is a phenomenal business in the top 1% of providers with over 3,000 positive reviews. Our injectors are nationally ranked and leaders within the industry, and our legion of loyal customers speaks for itself. This lawsuit in the press has no merit and is unfortunately a pattern of behavior from a desperate woman who, when unable to pay her bills, lashes out to avoid accountability. Okay, lots of interesting things to break down here. So let's get into the conspiracy theories. There's a scene in the Salt Lake City trailer that we haven't got to yet. It's when the season is going to explode. It's a hot mic moment. Heather Gay is on the phone and she's trembling. She's trembling. Are you sure it's her? How could she do this to us? And we're all like, what? What is she talking about? You know, when this first came out, everybody thought Jen Shah. Jen Shah's in prison. So it obviously doesn't have anything to do with Jen Shah. Now there's a theory that it has to do with newbie Monica. We've all seen the lawsuit now that Monica is countersuing Beauty Lab. The theory is that Monica got these injections in 2019 under a different name. And in this moment on camera, Heather finally put the pieces of the puzzle together that it's this Monica that is suing Beauty Lab and Laser. So that, and then another clip that happened 2 weeks ago on Watch What Happens Live with Lisa Barlow and Danny Pellegrino. Andy says that we are going to find out on this season of Salt Lake City what really happened with Heather Gay and her black eye. Early on in Black Eye Gay, I want to remind you, people hypothesized that it could have been due to a bad procedure, potentially bad injections. People were throwing out the theory, because that's what it was, that this could have happened at Beauty Lab. It was pretty easily debunked, you know, by other people saying that the swelling wouldn't be that big, it wouldn't cause that much bruising. But you have this Monica lawsuit, then coupled with the fact that we are going to find out what happened to Heather Gay's eye. My spidey senses are just tingling. I mean, it's that or Jen Shah did punch her in the face, which honestly I find to be a little bit more likely. But back to Monica, you know, she's an interesting character. Like I said, she came in guns blazing, tons of drama with mom. The first situation that came up with mom was at the Easter party. And I actually had the unpopular opinion in this situation. At the Easter party, I was team Monica's mom in that moment. You know why? Because I didn't see what I've seen now, right? I didn't see the restaurant scene. I didn't see the fact that mom took the car. I saw, if I was at a party and I was Monica and I was screaming at someone and my mom was there, she would drag me out by my hair. And I have a great relationship with my mom. It's not because my mom in that moment was trying to figure out if I was right or wrong. It's because in that moment, my mom would be more concerned about the way that I was being perceived than anything else. You know, like my mom would be like, oh, honey, you are not going to make a fool out of yourself on camera in front of all these people, in front of all these kids. We're getting out of there. My mom would try to protect my image. Now, obviously, my opinion on mom, not my mom, Monica's mom, has changed since the restaurant scene. And then in the last episode, you know, Linda comes over with the car. She says, Monica, I took your car away to get your attention. Like, that's wild. That's something you probably shouldn't do. But then Linda tweeted this. She said, Monica had not made an on-time payment in 2 years. 2 years, not one. The first on-time payment came this year in October of 2023. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm being maligned in the worst possible way. Okay, so these two are just always at odds. I don't know if we're ever going to get any resolution between Monica and Linda. But there's also a scene in the episode that's gaining some attention, and this is in the restaurant scene where Linda calls Monica Monica Darnell, and Monica's like, that's not my name anymore, and Linda's like, that's the name I gave you. Everyone's trying to figure out what is Monica's real last name. So there's an Instagram account called My Family Genie that did the digging. So go ahead and go look, but I'm going to recap it for you because they dug through public records, you know, I don't know specifically. I don't have it up, but like the only word that's coming to my mind is death certificates. But I know that this account looked at more than just death certificates. So I don't want to be like super morbid. But anyways, they said based on public records, Monica's last name is not Garcia. It's either Darnell or Fowler. Now, that doesn't mean she hasn't gone through a recent name change, but those two names, Darnell and Fowler, are attached to her. So Fowler is Monica's ex-husband's name, although People Magazine got it wrong when citing. They said Garcia. Darnell is Monica's mom's current last name, and Garcia is Monica's mother's maiden name. So what does that mean? According to this page, two different possibilities. One, assuming that Monica is telling the truth, that her mother was never married. Linda chose the name Darnell for whatever reason and then gave it to her daughter. Or two, Linda was married and Darnell is the last name of Monica's father or stepfather. Just a reminder, we don't know who Monica's dad is. So yeah. Another fan theory is that because, Monica gets very upset when Linda says Monica Darnell. Another fan theory is that Monica Darnell was the name that Monica got the Botox under at Beauty Lab. And maybe that reaction was oh, don't say that name on camera. I don't know if that's true because it seems like this lawsuit was going on maybe before that moment. So we'll see. But yeah, Salt Lake City is riveting right now. I am loving it. I am living it. It's like my favorite franchise, although Miami just started and they're always at the top of their game. So anyways, Monica's a dream guest interview because I find her so fascinating. So say some T's and P's that we can get Monica on the pod. For final thoughts this week, I want to talk about the Golden Bachelor. I'm obsessed. It's the best show on reality TV. Even husband David is like 10 toes down on the couch every Thursday to watch Gary. I've recruited some help from one of my good friends. She's a co-host with me on Shared News. She is an amazing singer and songwriter, which she's going to share a little bit about that later. But please welcome my dear friend to MPT, Kayla Thompson. Hello, Miss Kayla.
Hi, Morgan. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm so happy to be here. I missed your little face. I missed our chats. So I'm just so excited that you guys are having me on. It's my first time. So it's been a long time coming. I know we talked about this before. So I just feel so honored and special.
Oh, well, thank you. I know we want to touch a little bit on what you have going on, which is very exciting. Sure. But first, we have to get to the Golden Bachelor because it's everything. It's so amazing. I mean, are you loving it? I'll be honest. I physically cannot even watch Bachelor in Paradise anymore because the Golden Bachelor has raised the standard so high for me that I'm like at such a high when I come off Golden Bachelor that I can't even watch Bachelor in Paradise.
That is hilarious. I figured that because I know you a little bit pretty well. And, when we were scheduling this, my manager was like, oh, no, she's not vibing with BIP right now. I was like, what? So I figured Golden Bachelor was just too top tier for you right now. And Absolutely. It's true. They're kind of like blowing regular Bachelor out of the water with just the cast, the production, Gary. Like, it's just also on top of that, such a surprise at how good it is. Because people, I think, were underestimating, like, I'm hesitant. Yeah. That was me either way. So, yeah, I see why you feel the way you feel.
I feel like just in general, the world feels so doom and gloom. And I think any little shimmering piece of sunshine, of light, of wholesome stuff. Like we are clinging to it because it's literally the only thing that's keeping us like happy and not super depressed in the world that we're living in right now.
It's true. It's true. I think it's showing that you don't have to have toxic drama to have like an emotional experience on a show. Yeah. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be negative for you to like enjoy it or be entertained. Like you can be entertained by relating or just being inspired or like watching real love grow. Like, so I'm really happy that they did this show and I'm happy that it's doing so well. It's killing right now.
It's killing it. I feel like there's going to be a long trajectory for the Golden Bachelor. Let's get into the Women Tell All, which in my opinion is Golden Bachelorette auditions. Everyone is like, look, who's going to be the first Golden Bachelorette? We do
Yep.
have some hot seats in this episode, which Susan did not get a hot seat, but she got a lot of screen time, talking about the meatballs, getting a video from Kris Jenner. What do you think about Susan?
Oh my gosh. Love her.
What's up?
I've been calling her KJJ. Like I've been calling her KJ Jr., like Kris Jenner Jr. So the fact that they brought it full circle for me personally with calling Kris Jenner, having a video from her directed at Susan, I was like, this is the best woman to all just because of that. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
She has to host a date next year. Like for Golden Bachelorette, I need Kris Jenner on my screen on that TV show. But yeah, I love Susan. I'm so happy that she shared what she did about just like at the beginning of the episode talking about, we're expressing like hope and joy, like and love, like, your life doesn't stop even at your certain age, like get back up, change your hair, do something different. Like I really loved that. I just love her.
I love it too. And I honestly think that she is a top contender for Golden Bachelorette because she has all the makings of great TV. Like you said, we've seen so many different sides of her, which we're going to talk about the other women that could potentially be the Golden Bachelorette. We've seen Susan be vulnerable and serious and, have moments like that. We've seen her be hilarious and us laughing so hard over her meatballs. So I think it was on She's All Batch where they compared her to like a Caitlin Bristow type of Bachelorette, right? Where it's not like the conventional, pageant queen, but they just captivate you. Of course, they're still beautiful. Like, do not get me wrong, but they just captivate you in a different way. Which I think Susan really embodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she has layers to her and she's so like elegant and like, but she's also very like loose. Like the moment in the bloopers where she just flashed Kathy showing her like nipple covers, like she's so like comfortable in her own skin, which I think is across the board with most of the cast. Yeah. But she's just really funny and she's not trying to be funny, which is like hard to do. And it's actually way more endearing than someone who's trying to be funny. She's the perfect casting, just like so many of the other women. So yeah, I think she would do great leading a season, but there's so many other contenders. Yeah,
let's talk about Joan, because Joan was actually the first one that was invited to sit next to Jesse, in the hot seat. We got a little bit more answers on why she had to leave the season early. Her daughter, who had just had a baby 15 days prior, was suffering with postpartum. Now, I really thought that Joan was going to come back to the season. That was kind of like my conspiracy theory, and it never ended up happening.
I know. Such a good point. I thought it was 50-50 because in my head as well, I was thinking this season is a little shorter than others. It's going by a little faster. So I don't know if they'll have time. And yeah, she kind of left early on enough to where I think Gary probably just would have been so much farther ahead with his final 6 or plus or less. So it probably just wouldn't have panned out, but
Joan is one of those ones where a lot of people are, dubbing her already the first Golden Bachelorette. And while I wouldn't be mad about that because I do think that she is amazing, she's one of those ones that I do want to see more layers to. Like, I feel like we didn't see the funny, goofy side of Joan. Yeah. Now, that's not saying that she doesn't have one because look at what they did to Matt James. They made Matt James look like the most boring person on television when we know that not to be true. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Joan potentially being our next Bachelorette? She's all over my TikTok feed making hot roasts and all these things. And I like, she's my TikTok grandma, I feel like.
Right. No, I think actually on that point, a lot of the women are taking like rightful advantage of this kind of platform. Like I see Edith posting her like guacamole recipe. I'm like, you guys are so cute. Like, this is how you do it. You can come on the show. You kind of like have your little brand. So anyway, when it comes to Joan, I think I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't be upset, but I feel like I'm not as connected to her because she left so early. Not that I don't feel for her and the reason of her leaving, and I totally respect it. But yeah, I also agree with your other point of like, the layers that you need to have. Gary really set the bar so high as a lead. I'm even looking at Joey and I love Joey. Okay. I love me some Joey, but I'm kind of like, okay, Joey, I need you to really step it up because Gary Turner is kind of the best bachelor we've ever had, question mark. So with that being said, as Golden Bachelorette, you're following up after that season. Yeah, I need you to have as many layers as he did because yes, he's a handsome man. He has a really endearing story. He's funny. He's fun loving. He's he's a heartfelt. Like he's just so emotional, empathetic is what I was looking for. He has so much empathy for all the women. Like I need you to have all of that. And I don't know if Joan has that. I feel like there's other women who do.
Okay, what about Ellen? Because Ellen also gets the hot seat. Ellen has a very emotional, very touching story. I mean, David and I were sobbing when Ellen was talking about Roberta and talking about Courtney. God. Jesse was sobbing. I was sobbing. David was sobbing.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Oh my God. No, that was probably one of the highlights of the episode for me because this is when I was kind of like, see, this is it. This is what they try to do every year with the tell-all. Like they try to hit all these beats emotionally, when you're watching and when they're producing it. And it just doesn't ever hit. But for some reason, this episode, they hit it every single time, even with the comedy. So with Ellen, not making it about so much of her heartbreak, but kind of bringing in the Roberta piece, bringing her daughter there was just, it was just such good TV, but at the end of the day, it was a genuine story that we got to watch, unfold and for her to talk about. It was beautiful. And I think for her to be the Bachelorette, I could see that totally because I think she has those layers that we were talking about. But, with Faith, which I'm sure we'll talk about Faith. It's so I don't know. But I think I loved Ellen. Like Ellen I'll just go ahead and say this and shut up. But Ellen was my pick for the whole entire season. She was my final rose pick. So I was kind of like, so I would not be mad to see more Ellen.
Okay, so at that point, we jump back into the rose ceremony. It ends the week before on a cliffhanger. We know that Leslie gets the first rose, and we're figuring out who Gary is going to give his second rose to. It's down to Teresa and Faith. Now, while I didn't know what he was going to do, the edit before he gave the final rose, I was shocked. I mean, they completely gave it away. Not one time did you see Teresa on screen in a little ITM. It was all Faith saying, I'm going to be devastated if he doesn't give me the rose. We have such a good connection. I don't know how my family's going to take it. And I'm like, okay, well, go ahead and tell us without telling us that you're sending Faith home. But it still was a shock. I mean, you were shocked.
I was shocked. Yeah, because even with that being said, I had hometowns in my head of like that whole moment that they had in front of her family of the expression of love. Like I was just kind of like, Gary, like I'm so confused, especially because not just with Faith, but with Teresa, he was genuinely kind of like, I don't really know. Like, do I love her? Do I not? So the fact that with her, he was saying he was kind of question marks, but with everyone else, with Leslie and Faith, he was like, oh no, I love them. I was just kind of like, wait, I'm kind of confused that what is it with there? Teresa? Because I'm not really getting it personally.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I have a theory. We'll get to it later though.
Okay.
But after that, they reunite on the Women's Tell All stage. Faith in that dress came out looking like a snack. I mean, she is 65, and she looks better than I have ever looked in my entire life. Like she was ready to walk out on that stage in the revenge dress.
My gosh.
They're both sobbing, right? And everyone is saying like, whoever Gary did pick has to be watching this and is like, what?
Okay, interesting. I don't know how to feel. Yeah, it was interesting. I was kind of taken aback. It was a lot. But before I even say how it was a lot, but I think what I loved about it was I feel like when they first broke up, it was kind of like a cut, like, all right, get in the car. She was numb, like it was super fast. But this was like an actual closure conversation. And I love that production just let it play. They let it go. They didn't they didn't have Jesse try to cut them off. Like they let it just kind of naturally unfold. And it was cool to like kind of sit in on their moment of closure together, which I think was really genuine. But yeah, if I was, you know, the woman potentially engaged to Gary, I would be kind of like, is there still feelings there? I'm confused.
It's rough.
So I was like, or is he not with anyone, Morgan? Because like usually when people are like with someone else, they're fighting not to just be like, I mean, I'm cool. Sorry that I hurt your feelings, but I'm good. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of fighting that off to not be so like, I'm happy. So sorry.
It's interesting too, though, because
he was
like
very, very,
every like interview clip that I've seen where someone's like, did you find love? He's always like, yes.
Okay.
And it's like, Ray, I don't think you're supposed to like spill the beans, but I mean, it could have changed. Obviously those were like pre-show interviews and everything else. I will say that I think it's pretty obvious that I don't think he was crying that hard with Faith because he thought he made the wrong decision. I think it's pretty obvious that Gary really struggles with the fact that he knows he's breaking these women's heart, you know, and that's not like a normal thing to do, to have to date all these women and give them hope again, you know, like this could be the last relationship that they're ever in. And then to go and like pull the rug out from underneath them. I feel like that was more of the emotion I was getting from him, where he knew he disappointed her. He knew he disappointed her family, and he didn't want to be that guy. But there's no other choice, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think his mistake was all that he said and did on the hometown date, not necessarily breaking up with her. And I think that I agree with you. So, but yeah, it was nice though that he was aware of that and was just like, what I did was awful, awful, awful. Like you don't see leads kind of able to have both, and like, I'm not regretting my decision, but at the same time, I could have done this way better. And I'm so sorry. Like, that's really rare. And so I think that just shows the amount of respect and empathy and love he does still have for Faith in a certain way. But I don't know though. I'm just still confused. Like, how can you look into her eyes and be like, I love you? And then the next day, Teresa, I was like, Morgan, you should have saw me on the couch. I was like, he's saying the name wrong. It's Faith. You're pronouncing Faith wrong. I'm so confused how you're not picking Faith.
Well, I don't know if you saw, there was like a post Women Tell All clip where someone asked Faith, what do you think happened? And she says, Teresa. So I don't know, like I don't really know what that means, but we do know that obviously fantasy suites are next. Final rose prediction. Like, do you think it's Teresa or do you think Leslie has a chance?
I mean, now I'm 50-50 because out of when it was down to final 6, definitely final 3, I was like, okay, it's Faith. Faith is the pick. So I don't know. I mean, I think at this point they've edited it so that we think it's not Teresa, so then maybe it is.
Because they like to trick us.
They like to trick us, but they've kind of done that with Leslie too. Like there's been some uncertainty and kind of like on edge vibes with Leslie too, which hasn't been the best for me, because I'm just kind of like, I want my Golden Bachelor Gary to like have zero problems moving forward with whoever he picks. But I feel like in my gut, I'm thinking Teresa now.
Yeah. I feel like, and that's kind of where I am going to go with it. Cause like whoever Gary picks, he needs to be sure that like that girl is down for the ride, you know? And I feel like Teresa is. I've said this on my page where like Teresa almost seems like she doesn't know what she will do if Gary is not her, you know, if like she's not with Gary, she's not going to be okay. Whereas Leslie, I feel like she's a little bit like cooler about it. I don't know if she's like playing it cooler, you know, where she doesn't want to come off as, I don't want to use the word desperate because that's not what I mean, but like that's the word that is coming to my head. But I said, like, Leslie gives me cool girl energy. Like, I can still hang with the boys. I can do whatever. And then Teresa gives me, like, if you're a bird, I'm a bird energy, you know? So it's like, what is more appealing to Gary? It's going to be someone like Teresa, especially at this age in his life.
I think so too. And I think when it comes to Leslie, her, like, the passion that I feel, I guess, between them is less about, I think it's more about, like, wow, he's such a great guy. I'm, like, kind of dealing with the trauma of, like, all the bad guys I've dealt with, and less of like, oh my God, I just so in love with him. It's kind of like, does that make sense? It's kind of like
she's comparing her past relationships.
Yeah, like, it's kind of like hanging on these negative past experiences. And I think that that's the kind of, like, stress that we're seeing, the anxiety that we're seeing from her is more about that. I think with Teresa, it's a genuine, like, I literally can't live without you.
Yeah.
So, you break up with me? I don't know. It's gonna be bad. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Leslie will kind of be okay. I think it'll be tough. Like, I think her family had a point. Obviously, they know her very well. Just kind of like, you're a good one. So please, she hasn't had good ones. So please stick with her. But I feel like, I think she has more to uncover and deal with before she, like, jumps into something like with a Gary. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, the season is winding down. I think we have they're taking a week off, I believe, on Thanksgiving. And then after that, it's the finale. So, but overall, just so impressed, right out the gate. It's just a smash hit. It's a fan favorite. I feel like it's going to gain more popularity than the regular franchise. So I do want to say thank you for chatting Golden Bachelor with me. But I also want to just quickly tell the people, because I told them already, you're an amazing singer and songwriter, and you just released an EP. So please tell us about that and tell my listeners how they can support you and where they can find your music.
Amazing. Yeah. So it's my very first EP. It's called A Shot in the Dark. 5 songs. I'm super proud of it. It's a big accomplishment for me personally, because I'm not a signed artist. I am kind of like working things out on my own, and I have an amazing producer. So we worked really hard. The through line of the project is kind of just like taking your shot, like putting yourself out there, whether that be in a relationship or your career, your dreams, or whatever it is. And so just every song, I feel like someone is going to listen to one song and be like, that's my song. There's kind of like a sample of, like, all the different vibes I have going on musically. And yeah, I'm just super excited for people to keep, like, listening and relating and everything. It's kind of like an indie pop vibe. So if you're into that, you'll love it. You can listen to it on any streaming platform. Any way you listen to music, it's up there. You just type in my name, type in A Shot in the Dark, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, literally anywhere. But yeah, I'm super excited because I'm working on an acoustic version of all those songs in January. So I have more coming. And so yeah, super excited. And I think it's a big step towards, even more for me in my career. So.
Well, we love it. And we support women here on MPT. So if you're listening right now, finish the podcast, search Kayla Thompson, and listen to her EP. Kayla, thank you so much for joining MPT this week. I just want to say that I'm proud of you. I think you're so talented. You're so amazing. I'm so grateful that the world brought us together. And congratulations on everything you have going on.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you for having me. I hope I get to come back very, very soon. So love you.
Love you. Thanks again, you guys, for tuning in to MPT. If you have not done so, leave a review, a little 5 stars, a little love you like it says. It helps tremendously. So please do it. It takes 5 seconds, and I need the affirmation. So we'll see you tomorrow for Extra Pop. We're going to talk about Lisa Hochstein and her new business venture, Splitwell, which she's doing, kind of at the expense of her and her ex Lenny's divorce. We're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Miami. Lots of other things going on. So don't miss Extra Pop. Subscribe. The link is in the show notes below. If not, I'll see you next week, Thursday, for another episode of MPT. As always, love you like a sis.
a Hurrdat Media Production.